I will call the Public Works Committee meeting to order. Good evening. Roll call, please.
Cindy,
Here.
Seth,
Here.
Todd Kirking,
Here.
AJ,
Here.
and Tanya.
Here.
Okay, first period for public comment. Nothing from the Peanut Gallery. Anybody online like to speak? Yeah. Your name and limit it to 3 minutes, please. I think not. Approval of committee minutes from February 3rd, 2026.
This is Todd. I'll approve the minutes of February 3rd, 2026.
Hey,
AJ, I'll second.
motion by Todd, second by AJ. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Discussion with possible action on garage door replacement at street shop.
Okay, this is bringing this item back from last time. Am I sharing yet? I don't think so. Okay, so we did look for additional quotes from Lacrosse Glass, and I guess the good thing is they came in pretty much neck and neck. So there was a difference of $53 for all that work. So so given that it was clearly a competitive bid, even though I would say Lacrosse Glass's quote was a little bit less, we do appreciate the locality of Swenson's, and so we would like to go with that original proposal. So there'd be like Swenson would be doing all of the overhead doors, and then the main service door would, the personnel door would be from Lacrosse Glass anyway.
So it's exact same doors. Lacrosse versus Swanson.
The overhead doors were comparable. I don't know that they were the exact same door, but like the sizes and the windows, that kind of thing. So
Okay, material, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, even like Sarah said, even if lacrosse was a couple dollars less or $50 less, you have to go with somebody that when we have trouble in the middle of the night, we can call Swenson's. They can be there in the spur of the moment with our shop over on Railroad Avenue or whatever. But to answer your question, yeah, the doors were exactly the same as far as dimensions and materials and the side tracks and openers and everything. So, yeah.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
We'll say Swenson when I was there. Swenson's very, very reliable.
Okay. So do we want to go ahead and buy them? Or do we just send it on to, we don't have to send that on to council, do we?
I think, I don't know.
This is Seth. I'd make a motion that we approve the bid from Swenson Doors and Lacrosse Glass for the personal service door and approve the purchase.
Is that two companies together, or I can't see the head?
Yeah.
Sorry. Did he get it right?
Yep. No, he said it exactly
Okay.
right.
Todd, I'll second it.
Okay, do we need it to go to council?
So you're talking the 25,036.39 is the total, right?
Correct.
I wanted to add that in there.
Mhm.
And yes, it would go to council.
So.
Okay.
Motion by Todd, second by Seth to send it, was it? No, he made the motion. Motion by Seth, second by Todd. To send it on to council. So roll call, please.
Seth.
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
AJ.
Aye.
Tanya
Aye.
and Cindy.
Aye, motion carries. Review and approval of pay request number 2, Hanson Farm Project.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I realize now that I have a tremendous number of tabs open in Adobe. So give me some patience here, but I did find it right away. Here we go. So this is actually pay request 3. I think it said 2 on the agenda, but it's, pardon? Oh. Try the share again. I think I picked the specific screen. There we go. Okay, so the total amount that they're requesting is 256,958.94 cents. So this is a lot of the earth moving that you've been seeing. There are a few things that are water and sewer. We'll go through that, but it's common excavation and putting some of the base down. So you can see like these line items here, stripping topsoil and common excavation. That's what those giant vehicles have been moving around stuff. We got all those piles out there. Is that topsoil piles? It's frozen, and so they're not wanting to do anything with it for a while yet. They have started forming like pathways. So there was a great deal of sand that came out of the stormwater pond. It was really pretty impressive. And so they started putting the sand down in the areas they knew they were going to have future roads or paths. So like there's that multi-use path that goes around the pond. And then they started doing some of the basic like road work. This is just an erosion control measure. A little bit of the water main that wasn't included last time and the service laterals for the water, some of the storm water that's being installed more slowly on the sides that haven't been done yet there. And then you see the salvage topsoil, that kind of thing kind of goes throughout different categories. And that's because we had all these alternates. So it was like the base bid, and then there's like 4 alternates. And so that's why you see it repeated. But again, you're looking at your percentages and looking at how much we have spent of the total quantities gives you an idea of where we're at. Again, a little bit of the water main. They were going in that Road D park area. And I guess another big thing to point out is the deduction here for the material use, right? So that's that stored materials. We pay for the materials while they're stored, and then as they install them, they start taking that number away. So largely this is like remaining water and sewer and manhole and some stormwater pipe. So unless anybody has anything in particular they want to talk about, I'm happy to answer questions, but the total payment due would be this $256,958.94.
You may have said this already, but that big ditch they were digging to separate us from Hanson Farm, to separate the gas from,
Yeah.
did that get completed?
So a portion of it has been installed, and that was the clay part that was underneath the pond. So because the pond has a clay liner already, we were utilizing the fact that there's clay there. So basically we were trying to set an elevation of the depth of clay. So it only ended up being like 2 feet in some locations. And then they have not done the trench part that's outside of the pond area. That's coming up with the rest of the work.
Oh,
It may actually be done next week.
I thought I saw a picture of it, I guess. I saw a picture of the pond. not the-
Oh, yeah,
I guess.
probably. Yeah,
pretty
that
big,
pond
too.
is pretty impressive. If you haven't driven by there, it's something to behold. It's huge.
Yeah.
There's a little water in it, so it's starting to do its job, but I mean it's already dried up, but like you can see where water's come in. So yeah.
Did anyone have any questions? Any other questions for Sarah? Okay,
This is AJ. I make a motion that we pay the request number 2 for Hanson Farm project, total of $256,958.94.
Todd, I'll second it.
very good. Motion by AJ, second by Todd. Roll call, please.
Todd,
Aye.
AJ,
Aye.
Tanya,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
and Seth.
I
Okay, motion carries. Review and approval of USDA application for landfill financing and set public hearing date for city council meeting.
Okay, so the one lead that I have been successful with for the landfill project is the USDA funding. It is the same application for a grant and loan, but this is basically a loan. I would say think of it as a loan fully. It's a subsidized interest rate. If we prove need, they will provide a grant to a certain amount, but they said it's so negligible, if anything. So like we will find that out later on in the process, but really this should be considered just a loan. So I'm going through that process of making the application, and part of the process is to have a public hearing about the landfill being applied, us applying to USDA for it. So more or less, we've already done this because we've continued to have a lot of information at public meetings, but it does have to be formalized, just like when we have a public hearing for like a zoning change or something like that. It's the same idea. We, once upon a time for the sewer outfall, did like an actual meeting, but no one came. Very few people came, I guess. And so we've just learned that the best place is to bring it to the council meetings because the attendance is better. So again, we just need to pick a date for us to take it and make it our official public hearing date. And I was thinking that we could do it at the next council meeting unless there's a huge amount.
We have to publish this for 2 weeks, like every other public hearing.
I
to
am not
change your
sure that we
dates.
have to. If we do, then we're going to certainly have to change it from being.
Because you have to publish a public hearing.
Yeah, that's true. We should be safe and say that. So then in that case, we would be at the next council meeting, which is the 10th. I'm not 100% sure, but I think let's be safe than sorry because that sounds about right. I think we do have to show that we published the meeting. And so, yeah. So all in all, I mean, there's not going to be a lot of information that there shouldn't be any information that we haven't already heard. So it's just making sure people know we're moving forward with the landfill project. We're making an application to the USDA.
How much is the loan for, or interest rate? Is it that kind of information?
Yeah, so that all will come in the future.
Okay.
It's probably, I mean, when Mike is finished his more detailed engineering, we'll have a better number than we have right now, but that was that 2.2 to 2.4 for an active system that we were talking about last time.
They would finance all that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
That's what we're asking.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have to get approved. Traditionally, it's been a pretty straightforward process. More of the stress was put on whether we got a grant or not. We haven't applied for a new loan since the change of administration, so I don't know if that changes anything.
Okay.
But there have been changes at the USDA for some things that we're aware of, so.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, we're looking for approval. Motion to approve. You can do it.
This is AJ. I make a motion to approve the USDA application for the landfill financing and set the public hearing date for March 10th for the city council.
Okay.
Todd, I'll second it.
Motion by AJ, second by Todd. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion with possible action for chipping of brush and wood waste at brush and compost site and possible site changes.
So Wade is here and he's going to help me out, but I'll just sort of set the background for you. So let me get the right date here. In the summertime in July, we had a DNR inspector come out. So every year we submit information to the DNR about how much material is at our brush and compost site. We have both a compost site and a wood waste site, essentially, brush and wood waste. And so this was the first time in a long time that we've actually had a DNR rep out there. I know they've been out there before. I would say, gosh, that's when we started doing the temperature testing, Todd, if you remember. That was like probably 8 years ago. Yeah. And so they were much more aggressive about compliance with the regulations, and which is great. We just weren't really aware of some of the requirements. And so the compost side, there was a number of things about like truly going through the compost process of like turning the windrows and making piles and things like that. We've taken action to make sure that we can start fresh, because that's kind of one of the things is what's out there right now, at least in terms of compost. Some of it is just difficult to deal with. So we, if you remember, we had advertised about who wants to come get organic matter from the city compost site, and then we left that open. And so we feel pretty good about this, the compost side, that we can certainly meet compliance moving forward. We just need to sort of start fresh. The other part of it was the wood burning, and it changed things in terms of how we go about our burning that we are supposed to be following as a wood burning site. That was one of the things that we had talked about with her is like, how we operate and the amount of materials we have year round determines what kind of regulation we go through. So one of the things that we had talked about is like, can we get rid of everything at the end of every year? And we just doesn't really work with our operations, right? Like we're still taking on brush and wood through the winter by even ourselves, right? Like our operations are such that we go through the winter. So that's always something to consider, but we are leaning towards continuous operation. And so there's a number of things that make what we've done in the past no longer an option. So, and particularly, we are only allowed to burn enough that it can go out at the end of the day. And so what's not how we've been operating previously. We've been allowing it to burn. We do the burn, but it usually goes for multiple days and it doesn't necessarily go out at night. And we have to have it burning during daylight hours. So we can't say the day is like, I don't even know a good example. It's in the summertime, which we would have more time if we did it in the summertime. If we do it in the winter, when we normally do it, your daylight hours are shorter. So in any case, we thought we would give it a go about like, could we achieve these requirements by doing smaller burns? And that's where I'll start turning things over to Wade. The crew gave it a good go, that's for sure. Do you want to talk a little bit about the struggles we've been having?
Yeah, basically we're just, to put it bluntly, we're fresh out of room. Like seriously, the compost isn't that big a deal. I know a person that will take it, all 3 rows whenever they gets time, and haul it. We tried burning for about 2 weeks, and we'd burn about a pickup load in a day, if that, and 3 more dump truck loads would come in. You weren't accomplishing anything. The summertime, I think that's kind of asking for trouble with bean or corns on the side. You know, then then you're looking at maybe 3-4 months of burning is all, and we'd never get caught up. The only thing I could think of is if Todd was here years ago, we brought in a tub grinder, and I've called 2 different. The only person I've been able to get a hold of his name is Jeff Wiederman out of Holman or La Crosse. And on the picture, Cindy, you'll see he will grind everything: the wood, all the brush, for 15,000, which I know is a lot of money, but I actually thought it'd be more than that. He'd haul the chips away. To answer any questions on that, me and Sarah have talked. If we try to get rid of the chips, would that help us? I don't think so, because I think if he couldn't sell the chips, his bid would probably go to 18 or 19,000. CNC has no interest in the chips. Gunderson Lutheran, a lady I see, her dad sells chips up to Gunderson Hospital. They have no desire in it. We'd have to haul them, which we have no room to haul, no way to haul them. As far as us chipping them solids, you see the volume we have, Cindy, we would never be able to get it done.
I've seen a picture. Wait.
And then if this passes, if we can hire this guy to get it back to square one, maybe we'd have to start chipping ourselves. I've looked for chippers, Sarah. The cheapest used ones I've seen is 30,000. And I've talked to Vermeer, actually yesterday. It goes from BC 1000s, 1200s, 1400s, all the way up to 18. And the 1000, which is the smallest, I'm sorry to say, they don't give them away. There's 60 plus. So you figure that's 3 years of this guy grinding, which This year was a little exceptional with the volume we had with Dirt Monkey, with the Armory, with all them quad axle loads of. I can't guarantee what's gonna be there every year. But if we did, in the future, got our own chipper, we would just have to designate guys 1 to 2 days a week, including myself, go down there and chip. I mean, we'd probably chip our trees that we cut ourselves, but I can't control, or neither that can control what other contractors haul in. Basically, our hands are tied. Either that or pay this guy every year or every 2 years.
Yeah, so I think there's like two big things here is, again,
Shut
sort
it
of
down.
dealing with the current situation and then figuring out how we're going to move forward so that we can manage it, right? And so like
Sarah, Wade, what has been the scenario in the past that why is this unique that we've gotten to have to handle all of this volume? Was it just, did we do like a full burn previously or?
Yes, we have, Seth.
Okay,
Yep.
I thought so. And it's just now the DNR is kind of putting tighter restrictions on us being able to do that as a full one-time thing.
yeah, we're not allowed to let it burn overnight anymore. And
Okay.
you can only start a pile that can go out within that same day. So that's been
Gotcha.
the hard part is trying to figure out like it created a lot of heat to burn itself once you got that big pile going, but to try to burn a good amount every day and just like Wade said, they worked on it for 2 weeks and really weren't making any good progress.
We had blowers in there, Seth, to create air to make it burn faster, but come 2 o'clock, you can't really add any
Sure.
more food anyway because it's got to be out in an hour and a half, and we weren't accomplishing any
Yeah,
manpower,
I just
diesel
I
fuel.
just wanted to know that we were allowed to do it as a full pile, and that made sense previously. I just hadn't
Yeah, so
followed that or hadn't to know that.
I don't know that we were allowed to do it. That's how we had been doing it. And nobody told us what we were doing was incorrect. But when she showed up, she's like, nope, you're not allowed to do that. And so we had this. So these 2 documents that we have are from the DNR. I showed you these back in the summer, but we were, kind of like a work in progress. But these are our compliance monitoring and evaluation form. And you can see like they have very explicit things laid out of like, do you meet this part of the code and this part of the code? And we're not meeting many parts of the code. Which is why we need to do it differently.
I think you kind of hinted at this, but if we just did our own and didn't have anybody else dump stuff, could we handle it?
How do we do that? How do we keep people from not dumping it there?
Well, there's options. And I think the options are about, and I don't think we have the solution today. I think we should start thinking about it. It's like, and the questions are we allowing waste that's not residential? Like right now, we're allowing anything cut in the city, we're accepting. And we're not regulating whether we're getting just stuff coming from the city, right? So like right now, it's an open door. We have rules. We don't necessarily have a lot of control over the compliance of it. And so do we like, I think there's like making sure everybody's in compliance is one thing. We are getting stuff from the city of Viroqua. And then another option is looking at like asking the commercial people to maybe chip it, or like, I think there's like variations in here. And I don't know that we'll have a solution, but I think we should have a good conversation about like what we're be willing to allow.
Have you ever, not that I want to see it go that way, because people know I use it because I got tree business, but have you ever thought about charging contractors?
It's another thing we talked
I know
about.
I don't want
Yeah.
to, trust me, but I know other people do that. I know Lacrosse does it. You got to pay to get rid of it. Just wondering if that'd be an,
Absolutely. So that was another thing that we talked about doing.
The only thing, and then on the other hand, if you have Todd or Wyatt Oldham or Emlyn Jones, whatever they decide to charge, if they do, they're gonna have to have a car, and you're gonna have to have somebody man the gate because we can't control. But there you are. We're gonna want to have a guy sit down there all day just to make sure, because there's many times you're down there and you see odd people coming in and just dumping, and we don't know. And you have to have somebody watch the gate, either lock the gate, get a key. But then there's a lot of times Todd can testify to this, so just dump it right outside the gate and create a mess.
Well, and I think that's all like those discussions that we need to have. I mean, obviously having someone there is an option, sort of, maybe not an option, but one way of doing it, having a better like camera system out there so we can really see what's happening. I mean, we've talked about
I've
having like
looked
a
at that
trail
too,
cam.
and I don't want to spend $200 on a nice trail cam and then have somebody steal it and just come up
Well,
behind it,
that's one way of
come up
doing
behind
it,
the
but
gate
it's,
and
you know, there's,
put a handkerchief around the lens and take it off the pole or something.
If
or-
people want to break the law and
They're
want to
gonna-
do devious things, they'll figure out a way to
They'll
do
do
it.
it.
The camera's there to keep honest men honest,
Right.
right? And it's, you know, I think we have to be realistic about what steps we can take to engender compliance and not worry about the 5% who are going to break the rules no matter what you do.
Right.
well, and just helping us get a better idea of like what the traffic is actually. Like we can make an assumption of what we think the traffic is, but like, you know, how many people are going out there a day? What kind of people are going out there? Are they residents with their pickups? Is it a business? You mentioned a key. I mean, we did that before. I know it's not the easiest thing to do, but there's things to think about. So like, that's what I'm saying about like, I think we have like future options. We just have to figure out like as a city, what we're willing to offer.
And another thing is, if we went this route, this takes care of the brush. Yeah, fine, but this guy here will get rid of all the wood too, which is, if we don't hire him, what are we gonna do with that? I know it's free for the taking, but a lot of people don't put the time in to go get it. You know, if you manage the cost, this is no slam on you, maybe put that money aside every couple of years to pay this guy, you know, so it isn't quite such a big lump sum to shell up for, I don't know, just.
You know, we used to lock the gate before COVID. You know, you'd have to get
Yeah.
a key to go get it. I know Laura, I mean, they had to stop at City Hall and get a key, which I'm not, got to be a pain in the butt. I'm just mentioning it, right?
Correct.
I know it was. I know, but then during COVID, I remember then I would open the gate in the morning,
Mhm.
and then lock it again at night. But then you still, you know, people still brought stuff in.
Right. We are certainly doing it differently than we've done it in the past. It certainly is the easiest for like the operation, but it certainly makes it harder to know fully what's happening out there and who's bringing things in. And so like I said, I think there really is two parts here. Like one is what are we going to do today about how much stuff is out there? And I think the proposal that Wade has here certainly is, I would say, almost the only option for us at this point, just because there's so much out there. And then figuring out what we need to do going forward, because the other, you know, we got the brush. There's a lot of wood out there, and it's like, could we figure out somehow where someone might be interested in doing something with the wood? Or, you know, right now our current policy is that anyone from the city can go in and take it and make it into their, you know, for firewood or whatever, but it's not open. It's supposed to not be open to people outside of the city. Do we start making a point of saying anyone can come get it? Just like we need it out of there. So like, I think there's things we can work out, but we also need to, like, if we do this, we need to start moving on a change, whatever it is, so that we don't end up back here again without, I mean, $15,000 is a lot of money in our budget.
I think the wood that is down there, people that, I don't know, Wade, I haven't been down there recently all winter, but I think the wood that's down there, people don't want that wood, it's soft maple. I think the good wood that's been there, I've seen people in there cutting that out before, like your oaks and your hickory, anything, your hardwoods, but I think most of it now is soft wood, and people usually don't waste a lot of time on that.
One more thing, I know we put on this topic quite a while, so, before you ask the question about asking for other bids, I have got a hold of 2 other people. They don't want nothing to do with it. Not a municipality, because they never know what they're gonna find in there. Fence posts, tire rims. The trees have staples and iron and nails in them from rummage sale signs. This guy's the only one to do it. So like I said, I've looked around and nobody else wants to even touch it. So
The way he's talking the truth there, because the guy did it when I was still here, and I mean, me and Wade were down there. There was clotheslines in metal clothes. You bought about everything in that brush pile. People that want to get rid of it and they throw it
Yeah.
away, and out of their hair, they don't care.
Well, and if you remember, we were trying not to burn back then at all. And because it was brought up at Public Works, like, this is a resource and why are we not using it? We're burning energy, sort of thing. And so we had an elaborate plan where we would use these wood chips, but the way that it shreds it, it wasn't something that we could then use for the park, you know? So we did try to do it that way. In this scenario, he has a plan for the wood chips, right? Like, that's a part of his total package.
Yes, he has a contract to XL Energy. He's got throughout 3 semis. He'll haul them. He'll haul them right from there after he gets everything chipped and haul them French Island somewhere up there is where he takes them. So.
So today we need to decide whether we want to approve the $15,000, this gentleman.
In an ideal world, yes. So clearly this is not in the budget, right? And so that's the other conversation. So trying to figure out where to take it from, because essentially that's what we have to work within. We have $9,000 in the stormwater budget. I hate taking that, but it's one of the ones that we often don't get to use all the way. Same with, we have a curb and gutter and sidewalk, which amounts to about 9,000 as well. And so my approach would be finding things we could steal within our budget to put forward to this, because our brush and compost budget is like $500 or something like that. So it's not intended to cover
Right.
this kind
It's
of
not supposed to
expense.
happen like this.
So I know it's not a lovely plan for budget wise, but I really don't know where else to
So
get
you
it from.
could borrow from both of those pots, I take it.
That was the intention.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the best plan I could come up with.
Well, it seems like we have to do something, so.
Yeah, I think we're at a point now that it's now that we
only
need
gonna
to
get
take
worse.
action. I was actually looking back at my emails, and last year we had, from that load that came from the armory, so many trees, and we burned probably a couple extra days more than we normally do. It was a big fire, and I had neighbors emailing me about smoke. Because you start on a day, and the day might be good or the predicted weather, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the weather conditions are going to hold for you for that period of time. So, you know, I did certainly get complaints from people in the area about burning as well. So
Okay. Well, why don't we address the 15,000 then? What does the group think?
I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Tanya.
Was this for a one-time catch us all up to, to make it done and then look at a solution in the future? Or is this quote for some ongoing work?
This will catch us up, correct? And then
that's the idea.
we
Thank
have
you.
to decide new plans going
Right.
forward.
I mean, this could be our plan. We could just budget 15,000 every year or whatever it is. I mean, so we have options, right? We just have to decide what value and how we want to operate, right? So that again is a future discussion.
Right.
I'm throwing ideas. We're throwing ideas out there so people can start thinking about like how we want this all to look in the future. But
Okay.
this is step one.
Okay. So,
I can't guarantee you that the 15,000 is going to be the same bid every year. So that's just this year.
right.
This whole Seth knows that, and Anya. So it could be less, it could be more. I mean, I can't guarantee that.
Right. Okay, because
I
anyone,
definitely agree with the idea of getting us back to zero. So this is Seth, I'd make a motion that we move forward accepting the $15,000 bid to essentially chip and remove the waste wood material as it exists today.
okay, motion by Seth,
AJ, I'll second.
second by AJ. Roll call, please.
AJ,
Aye.
Tanya,
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
Seth?
Aye.
And Todd?
Aye.
So in the future, are we going to have this on the agenda again, or are you
Yeah,
gonna
let's bring it
talk
back.
about it among yourself and come up with some ideas, or how do we?
All of the above.
All of the above.
I think we
Okay.
continue figuring it out and then come back and talk about it, see what you guys think as a city, how we want to approach it. I like the idea of talking to some of the commercial folks too, like to help us out and.
I think we gotta start charging.
Yeah, that'd be, I guess I like the idea, but no, I think a lot of the contractors
Especially
would,
Todd, no.
would pay for it. I mean, it's handy for us, right?
Yep, oh,
I
yeah.
know Westby, they burn but I think they burn every day. They got, and it's down by Clockmaker, the quarry, so there's no houses, nothing around, so I think they can probably get by with more, yeah, but I do know they burn quite often.
I think that's, if you look here, in the permit, there's like things about 5-day rotations and things like that. So we'd have to figure out, like mentioned, during the summer hasn't necessarily been the best time to burn, but we certainly need to figure out what our plan is actively.
You also said possible site changes on here. Were you actually thinking of moving it somewhere? Or an
Sorry,
additional
I don't,
site?
let me think about.
Says
Oh,
compost
just
site
compost site.
and
Oh,
possible site changes.
yeah, I didn't mean location. I meant like operational. Sorry, that was poorly worded. How we operate the site.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Okay, motion carries, I believe. We were done. Okay. Discussion with possible, thank you very much, Wade. Discussion with possible action for Lincoln Street lift station design. Another
Okay.
expensive one.
I realize, oh gosh, hold on one moment here. I don't think I actually pulled up the proposal before I left. What's going on? Too many open things. Oh, it might be under Word. That's what it was. Okay. Yep. Okay, so you should be able to see this attachment A. So we have worked with Town and Country Engineering in the past. There are the firm that we did all of our wastewater treatment plant updates. So meaning that $10 million project, including the outfall pipe, including the lift station that we updated on Highway 14 North. So they really are our go-to firm for anything that's more specifically on the wastewater side beyond sort of like transmission mains. So we have what we call our Lincoln Street lift station or our J Street lift station that is needing to be replaced in the near future. It is our hardest working lift station. This thing starts continuously throughout the day. It's also one of the places that we have our sanitary sewer overflows that have happened in the past have happened at this location just because of that pure quantity of sewage that flows in that direction. It is also a situation where the lift station itself is something that the guys need to enter into a confined space in order to work on the lift station, which is never a great scenario. And the age of the equipment is in the point where it needs to happen. So there's sort of multiple reasons, both capacity, age, and design, that we need to look at replacing our Lincoln lift station. So this is a proposal from Town and Country to put together an engineering study, which is one, we always have to do a design study, but two, in order to apply for DNR clean water funding, we have to do what they consider a facility plan, which in this case would be sort of like an abbreviated version, like focused specifically on the lift station, and then doing the actual design, going through all the DNR requirements. And again, they help go through the application to the DNR. So their estimate is 65,000 to do all of the work, and it's on an hourly basis. So meaning if that it comes in under, we would pay only what they used to do the design. They did our Highway 14 North lift station, and I thought they did a really excellent job. If you can imagine, there's potentially a lot more will happen in the future out on that side. And so we needed to be able to design for the future so that we're not replacing or building a new lift station or wet well in the near future, but there's not a lot there yet, right? So they were really good about figuring out how to have like a different impeller inside the pump and things that we could do to allow it so that it could be flexible. So I think they are really good at thinking through the whole process. So we're looking for approval to get this engineering design done for the Lincoln Lift Station. The idea would be that we would apply for DNR funding. So this is probably a 2027 project, or 28 even, because we'd apply in 27. So it would be 28 rather, or late 27. So that would be the idea of how we would fund it in the future is through a Clean Water Fund grant loan. But we wouldn't know that we got that funding until we have a design, because we have to have the study done, have the plan together, the design, and it has to be approved by the DNR when we submit our application. Okay.
I know this station is mentioned a lot at utility meetings, almost every week if
Yeah.
there's some problem going on.
I would say Greg, you can tell where I need to keep focused because Greg worries about whatever it is a lot. And this is his current, one of his top worries
Yep.
is the condition of this lift station. So
This is with Town and Country Engineering.
Town and Country Engineering. Yep.
Right, this is AJ. I make a motion to approve moving forward with the Lincoln Street lift station design with Town and Country.
I think there
I'll
was
second it.
motion by AJ, second by Todd. Roll call, please.
Can I add the 65,000 in there, AJ
Yep, sorry.
and Todd? Okay. Tanya,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
and AJ.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Construction project updates.
Okay, well, the only one that is currently going on is the hand.
Hold tight, everybody. Hang on. Are we back in meeting or are we not? Okay. All right, we're good to go now.
For that brief interlude.
Okay.
Okay, construction project update.
Yeah, where was I?
Yeah.
Hanson Farm. Hanson Farm is happening right now. Although they're not doing anything right now. So they're not gonna work this week because of the rain that's supposed to happen and it's super muddy still. But they're anticipating jumping back in next week, so we'll just see what the weather holds. We are doing a couple things. One is that would be when we would do the trench on that section that would be under like the townhouses and the multifamily section. And then we are also looking at doing the water and sewer a little differently in that area. We had just a slight modification because we've been waiting to see what the layout might be of the multifamily. And we figured that our most strategic approach would be to just keep everything open. So we're working through that. Oh, boy.
Is there still
Yeah.
the talk about sprinkler system? And that was.
Yeah,
changing
that's
your
all
plan?
that conversation, trying to make sure we can properly So a sprinkler system requires a lot more flow than our normal services. And so we would normally have that, like, it's basically kind of almost like a main extension. So we're pivoting and trying to make things continue. But, I think they're always worried about progress, but I think they've made a great amount of progress. And I did mention that sand, I think is really going to help us in the future. It was like a sand pit. That pond is amazing. The part that was closest to the landfill, not as much, but as soon as we got probably about 15 feet away, it was just pure sand. It was pretty impressive. And that's really the only thing that we're doing right now. We've started talking about getting ready for Center Avenue again. So we need to have a plan. Obviously Badger's doing both projects, the Hanson Farm project and that project. And so there's a good chance that once they're done the Hanson Farm, they're gonna like fully relocate over there, which means we may have more than one crew on the project. So that's certainly something we need to make sure we're on top of, because it'd be great to move quickly, because the less we are in the downtown in the summertime, the better. However, we also don't want to make it so busy with construction that people can't maneuver properly, right? So, and on top of that, with the fact that we're trying to do east-south, east-south street, that also like impedes the flow in that area as well. So we need to do some really good sequencing. So I've actually had some people already ask me, like, the woolly bear, that kind of thing, like, when are you going to show up? So people are starting to think about it. So now is the time, but we won't be there at least until April. So I think that's it for construction projects, unless anybody else can think of something.
No, thank you for you stay on top of so many things. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Very good. Street and utility department updates.
Yeah, sure.
Cheryl, get to go first.
Well, just a couple of things. Thursday, I'm attending a wastewater and water accounting class. Rural Water offers them once a year. I usually take them. It's $30. I like to find out what I'm doing right. And if I feel like if I learn a few things, that's great. It's all worth it. But mostly it's just to, refresh my memory and just making sure I'm still on the right track doing things correctly. Auditors are here next week. I'm feeling pretty good about the shape that we're in. And as I go through all the auditing stuff, I always find little fun things to do. And this is not so fun fact, but it does kind of relate to why we need to keep looking at our rates all the time. In 2019, a meter and a transmitter cost $274. And last year, when we bought them, they were $402. So in 6 years, they've gone up 47% or $128 for 1 meter. So that's just kind of typical about our costs have been continuing to rise like that, which again is another need for us to always look at our rates and make sure we're being covered.
And you were
That's it.
discussing that we're going to have how many meters for the housing or Hanson Farm? Isn't that what you guys were kind of trying to estimate about? Because there's money there too.
All said and done, 40 to 50.
Yeah, we're still waiting. Did you see that email, Nate? So we're still figuring that out. But
half the projects haven't been like settled down yet, so I won't have an answer on exactly what that looks like, but you can generally see number of duplexes
yeah.
times 2 will get you
Yeah.
what you want.
Right. Well, we're thinking of like how much we have to order for this year, but we'll be working on that. Just make sure we have them on hand. And then obviously try not to buy them before we need to,
Right.
for expenses.
I
and
just
stuff.
think everybody find it interesting that, all this construction's going up. So they're going to have meters.
Right,
Mhm.
right, yeah, because the utility purchases the meters.
right.
So,
Okay,
yep,
so
we
think
do
about
recover
that.
the costs fairly soon, but initially we do have to do the outlay.
Yeah, it's stuff to consider.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thanks.
You want to do your own update, Wade? I have your notes here, but you're still here.
For the last couple weeks, it's been pretty slow, thanks to Mother Nature, which none of us are complaining. So we've been doing a lot of tree trimming, cutting trees, which we're pretty much caught up on. We've been doing some patching whenever we can. Shop work, of course. We've been placing signs. We hauled about, I thought we were gonna run out of sand there for a while, the way it was looking, so we broke into our sand pile and got about 300 yards put up, which will hopefully get us through the winter. I want to send a couple guys out to our dirt pile and start sifting through the dirt. So with the rototillers, we got some good dry dirt, put it in our salt and sand shed when them get emptied. So we got good dirt for tree stumps and plow damage when the time comes. And if anybody calls, we'll start doing that when winter's over, which winter's not far from over yet. Yeah, we've been keeping busy. We're pretty much caught up on the trees except for I'm not sure exactly which ones are coming down on center yet, Sarah, but we'll get them taken care of, and that's about it for now.
We don't have a lot on center to take down at this point. There's, I think, probably 3 or 4. But there are other ones that we hopefully won't have to take down.
Them 2 on Jefferson, any word on them that we looked at? Those 2
Well,
big,
you guys remember you and Caleb looked at it, we decided we were gonna hold on to them as long as we possibly can. So
fine with me.
the one on the south side would probably be the one that we would worry about the most. It's really tight.
Thank you, Wade.
Yep.
Appreciate it. All of you guys do.
So for the utility field staff, they have meter and endpoint changing, working on grease trap inspections and on the shop itself, fixing the patch on Roosevelt that keeps settling. They're doing year-end stuff with Cheryl because it's getting to that time of year and getting ready for well treatments for the year. A lot of what I've been doing over the last little bit is getting the USDA application together. There's an engineering report. So nice thing is we don't have to pay to get it done. I can do it in-house. Mike's just reviewing it for me, but I've been spending the last good week trying to get through that and then getting that application in. But I am putting everything on hold from now until I get the build application in. So that's due next week. So I'll be diving fully into that one. There's not a lot of changes, but there were areas that they identified that we needed to have slightly differently in the application. And you know, we got our sampling equipment, so that's been really exciting. Now we have our own meter. And I've gone out twice now and used it. And I continue to do that on a weekly basis, which takes a decent amount of time up. And yeah, I think that's really the big highlights.
This is the meter for,
Oh, the gas meter.
okay.
So I go to all 23 monitoring wells and test them weekly.
Were you able to, you were gonna hope the rent,
Yeah, they wouldn't
they wouldn't,
budge on that one. So we purchased a meter.
they were hoping the rent they had paid could.
Yeah, we
be
didn't buy
applied.
Correct. Yeah. So we were hoping for a rent to own, and they said that that's not how they work. So we didn't actually buy the meter from them either.
Ah, there you go. Good for
We
you.
went straight to the source, which ended up obviously being the most economical way of doing it.
And that was Mike's suggestion, as I recall.
Mhm.
Kind of gave it
Yeah.
that hint, yeah.
Yep, and he's great. It's nice to be able to call people up and like I was having some challenges with the calibration, which ended up working. It's nice to have someone to call and
Yeah, absolutely.
figure out what's going on. So,
Okay.
and he's been working, there was some emails back and forth with the DNR today about the work that we're doing with the trenches and then just the fact that we're still moving forward. They're always interested to know that we're still moving forward. So
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Cheryl or Sarah? Or Wade? He's still here. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
Any question? Okay. Second period for public comment. We've lost Will Smith, so I don't know. if any-
Thank goodness.
Yeah, yes. Anybody else on there now, Nate? That interested in a public comment? I think it was pretty much all of us up there. Except for the few people. Okay. adjournment.
So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
AJ, I'll second.
Motion by Todd, second by AJ. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay.
Aye, motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.